This is going to be a bit of a different video than what I normally do, but it's the culmination of a sort of B-plot that's been transpiring in my YouTube shorts over the past few months. So to recap, back in April I received a cold email from a guy named Amir Kutub with a review request for his book entitled The CEO Who Mocked AI Until It Made Him Millions. According to him, it is a playbook for business leaders to integrate AI models into their workplaces disguised as a fictional novel. Amir isn't a nobody either. By all accounts, he's an entrepreneur who runs a tech firm in Australia with an emphasis on employing digital solutions for businesses. So I was baffled as to why he reached out to me for a review, considering 1, I'm a fiction writer and business is not my forte, and 2, anyone familiar with my content knows I've taken a piercing stance against AI and art.
Oh, right in the heart!
So why I had any authority or stake in this topic is beyond me. So I was just going to ignore the email, but then I checked the book's Amazon page and things looked suspicious. For one, the sample just stank of AI-generated prose, but I couldn't get into the thick of it enough to make a judgment call. It's the reviews where things got interesting. Wow, these are the most glowing 1-star ratings I've ever read. It's also really cool how their sentence structures are remarkably similar, and how they all seem to have reviewed the same 5 or so titles. Either they came from a book club whose members have transgressive views on the concepts of good and bad, or they're fake. Yeah, tell me more about the wonders of AI when AI can't even generate a proper positive review, Amir. Further investigation revealed that his LinkedIn profile deems him a best-selling author, yet he has an average rating of 0 stars across 0 reviews on Goodreads. Maybe this is one of those multiverse breaches in the reality with the barren Goodreads page leaked into our own. I mean, that's the only explanation for this disparity. Why else would Amir call himself a best-selling author?
You really think someone would do that? Just go on the internet and tell lies?
So instead of responding to him, I just made a YouTube short calling him out for botting his Amazon page. And I left it at that and continued on with my life. A week later, I get a second email from Amir. Just wanted to check if you might be keen to check out my book on AI I mentioned about earlier. And I thought, damn, this dude's persistent. He really wants me to review his book. So I ignored it and carried on. The third email arrived a few days later. I'd love you to read my fictional AI story and share your feedback. Wow. Okay. Not only does he really want me to review his book, but he doesn't know that I already called him out on my channel and exposed his weaselly practices to a larger audience. But then I was like, you know what? Why not? So while I made another YouTube short about Amir, I finally emailed him. Sorry for the late reply. I'd love to review a copy of your book. And as we're hashing out the details, I revisit the Amazon page and see that the number of ratings has gone from 53 to 279. Man, either Amir really struck gold with a niche audience, or he finally figured out how to use AI to properly gas up his book. Either way, he's making progress. And finally, one fateful Thursday afternoon, a full month after his first contact.
Oh no.
Yep, this is happening. All those emails, all those YouTube shorts, all those Amazon reviews have led up to this moment. You know, I'll give him credit. At least he actually paid out of his own pocket to send me a copy. Especially considering this book is $20 on Amazon. $20 for this double-spaced, big-fonted pamphlet. I've caught flounder thicker than your book, Amir. At this point, the number of ratings went down to 262, which tells me at least a handful of the fake accounts were nuked, but not enough apparently. So what is this book? Well, as I mentioned before, it's Amir's guide for business leaders to integrate AI models into their workplaces. And that's all I have to say about that. Seriously, who watches this channel for AI business integration advice? Why was this a good idea? What am I supposed to do with this? I wouldn't have said shit if not for Amir's insistence that I give my opinion. So, here's my opinion. I have no opinion. My opinion is worthless. The only thing I can do is give my critique on the alleged story you told. Our lead, Blake Harrington, is a CEO whose construction firm is about to go under because his competitors are using AI to outbid him. He's hardly a character, just a vessel for receiving information, which of course is the point, as this is a guidebook that wears fictionality like a costume. He's seeing a business psychologist named Dr. Celine Monroe to help save his company, who is hidden behind a curtain for 99% of the story, even though the book sometimes forgets that and describes what her lips are doing. The story is just a thread that weaves through this greater tapestry of AI integration advice. It barely matters, it's not colorful or interesting, which of course isn't really the point. Like, of course, his business is gonna pull through because he used the guidebook to guide him. Is it good advice? Maybe. I wouldn't know. Again, why am I the arbiter for this? Amir also uses the book as free advertising for his company, which again is the point. But again, why I was chosen to talk about it is beyond me. The only time the story actually stories is near the end, where Blake tries to make sense of his romantic feelings for the faceless Celine, and they both go full Krakatoa on each other. Like, it's more disturbing than most horror I've read. At least Amir had the decency to censor the F word. But of course, Celine is revealed to be real, just working remotely from a command center where she uses AI to basically be Wade from Kim Possible. They then kindle their romance with a kiss, which I'm sure violates some kind of patient-doctor relationship clause, and together they resolve to make the world a better place, using AI. Which is hilarious considering all you've just heard. Needless to say, after experiencing Amir and his work, I was not happy. The fake Amazon reviews were bad enough, but the final nail in the coffin was my now substantiated suspicions that this book about AI was written with AI. So I asked him with an air of politeness. Worth noting, by this time the number of ratings had fallen to 213. Amir got back to me a few days later, asserting that AI was used for brainstorming, editing, and proofreading, but the actual writing, narrative, and structure were organic. I have doubts. As someone who's gotten familiar with AI-generated prose, there's a number of tells that can betray its identity. Among them include an excessive use of em-dashes, simplistic repetitive sentence structures, certain key words repeated constantly, and an abundance of X isn't just Y, but Z phrasings and its variations, all of which were liberally present in this book. So I sent him back a long email calling him out and asking for some proof that he at least wrote the prose himself. That was about a month ago. He has yet to respond. As of recording, the book now has 133 ratings, 98% of which are 5-star. Some major cleanup happened in that time. Historical revision, you might say. All the bad bots, throw them in the scrap heap. Only the good bots will survive. So while I can't say for certain whether the book was largely AI generated, even though I'm pretty certain it was, at the end of the day, it's the Amazon reviews that truly mark Amir Kutub as a fraud. It's so ironic that there's a large section of this book dedicated to how AI can be used for good and bad purposes, when the author used AI to basically lie about this book's popularity. As a casual consumer, it bothers me that people use this technology to falsify their product's online presence. But as a writer myself, who's constantly struggling to stand out, who already has to trudge through headwinds, something like this crosses a line into being depressing and insulting. So Amir, you wanted my opinion, and here it is. I want to believe you're trying to run a legitimate business, and I don't think you're a scammer on the level of someone like Billy Cool, for instance. But you made a massive indecision in contacting someone like me, and you were dishonest and deceptive in how you presented yourself and your work. All I'm saying is, people have been called frauds for less. If I had any advice for you, I'd say stay in your lane and let actual writers write, assuming this book was written largely with AI. But also, don't be a hypocrite. Don't play both sides about the benefits and dangers of AI when you clearly used AI to push false impressions about your product. The internet's already been transformed into enough of a dystopian hellscape by AI grifters trying to make a quick buck. Do not contribute to it.